if I die before you wake. Till and I can't wait to get back home. Until then, I'll serve my country and be proud to wear this uniform. And if I die before you wake, I pray the world will take a good look at what God's given us. That we could only understand everything is in His hands. All we need is a little faith and trust. I want you to know it ain't too high a price to pay if I die before you wake. No, it ain't too high a price to pay if I die before you wake.
Raise your right hand and repeat after me. I state your name. Do solemnly swear to support and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic, and to bear true faith and allegiance to the same. That I will obey the orders of the President of the United States and the orders of those officers appointed over me according to regulations and the Uniform Code of Military Justice. So help me God.
We celebrate Veterans Day on the anniversary of the armistice that ended World War I. The armistice that began on the 11th hour, the 11th day of the 11th month. The timing of this holiday is quite deliberate in terms of historical fact. But somehow it always seems quite fitting to me that this day comes deep in autumn, when the colors are muted and the days seem to invite contemplation. It is, in a way, an odd thing to honor those who died in defense of our country.
One for today's assembly. Today we honor veterans of the Army, Navy, Marines, Air Force, Coast Guard, and Space Force who have served their country, and particularly those who have made the supreme sacrifice in assuring our freedom. Arrayed before you is the Army Junior Reserve Officers Training Corps, Hornet Battalion, commanded by Cadet Lieutenant Colonel Quincy Arellano. Formed behind him is the Executive Officer, Cadet Major Brian Brewer. Following behind him, we have the battalion staff. These cadets are Cadet Captain Cheyenne Ainsworth, Cadet Captain Leon Rogers, Cadet Captain Sariga Suresh, Cadet Captain Caden Tucker, and Cadet Captain Juliana Bell. The color guard is commanded by the Hornet Battalion Command Sergeant Major Gilbert Villapondo. Company commanders for today's ceremony are Cadet Captain Susan Haroon of Alpha Company and Cadet Captain Broken Lassiter of Bravo Company. I would like to take a few minutes to introduce guests from our community and school district. Please stand to be recognized when I announce your name. Please hold your applause until all guests have been introduced. With us today are the members of the Pueblo County School District 70 Administration Superintendent Rhonda Ryan and Assistant Superintendent Robert DiPietro. Representing our school is our principal, Mr. Brian Dilka, and Assistant Principal Aaron Lewin, and Assistant Principal Ryan Moore. We would like to thank him and our outstanding staff and teachers of County High School for being there and supporting the JROTC program. Please give these guests a round of applause. At this time, we want to recognize our distinguished guests who are members of the armed forces, veterans from our school, and members of the veteran and patriotic organizations in our community. Again, please stand when I call your name and remain standing until applause has ended. Please hold your applause until all guests have been introduced. Representing the local recruiting officers of the armed forces today are from the United States Marine Corps, Staff Sergeant Arturo Martinez. Thank you for coming. Can we please give him a round of applause? At this time, we would like to recognize staff from Pueblo County High School who are veterans. Please stand to be recognized when I call your name. Firstly, we have Pueblo County High School counselor, Mrs. Florence Downs. Mrs. Florence Downs was an Army combat veteran who drove trucks hauling ammunition during Operation Desert Storm. Also, we have our Army Junior ROTC instructors, Major Retired Andrew Smith and Sergeant Major Retired Arnold Lewis. Please give our teachers and staff a round of applause. At this time, I want to take a few minutes to recognize the veterans with us here today. Ladies and gentlemen, please stand as I call your name. Please hold all applause until all the names have been called. With us here today, we have Nathaniel Nichols. He served for our nation in World War II and was stationed at Pearl Harbor. He is 104 years old. Next, we have Sherry Williams, who had served in the U.S. Air Force Reserve for 4 years, and in that time, she had earned the title sergeant. We have Jason Crocker. He had served in the U.S. Navy, Army, and Arizona National Guard over the course of 9 years. Unfortunately, he passed away on August 17, 2022, with the title E4 Specialist. William Ainsworth was a U.S. Marine and served during the Vietnam War and was a staff sergeant. He received the Presidential Unit Citation. We have Scott Potts, and he was a sergeant in the Air Force and was stationed in NORAD. With us today, we also have Kathleen Bell. She was a sergeant in the Marine Corps, and she was deployed to Iraq in July of 2008 to February 2009. During her service, she did aviation data analysis. We have Mike Knox. He was a Specialist 4, and he was part of the U.S. Army. He served in Germany from 1975 to 1978, then moved to Fort Carson from 1978 to 1981. He has received the Army Accommodation Awards. Today we also have with us Patricia D. Herrera. She was a corporal and served in the U.S. Marine Corps. She served from 1981 to 1987 at Camp Lejeune. We We have John G. Montoya. He was an airman first class, and he served in the U.S. Air Force from 1951 to 1953. We have Robert Rogers, who is a staff sergeant. He currently serves for the U.S. Army, and he's been serving since 2004. He served in multiple different countries and received 2 operation awards. We have Gayleen Weber and David Weber. They both served in the U.S. Army. David had served from 1976 to 1998, and Gayleen has served from 1989 to 2019. We have Sam Stevens, who is a private first class, served in the U.S. Army from 1944 to 1946. He was a World War II vet and is greatly remembered. Joseph Samuel Fodor was a sergeant, and he served in Korea. We have Charles Coletti, who was a corporal and served in the U.S. Army from 1953 to 1955. He received a service medal and a Good Conduct Award. We have Charles Coughlin, who was a tech sergeant, and he served in the Air Force from 1983 to 2003. He received Military Service Award and the Far East Award and served in Desert Storm. We have Lance Trout, who was a second-class petty officer. He served in the U.S. Navy from 2000 to 2004. We have Kenneth Strum. He was a first sergeant. He retired from the Army, and he served from 1967 to 2008. And he received the Army Accommodation Medal. And lastly, we have Timothy Wiggins. He was a staff sergeant, and he served in the U.S. Army and Air Force from 1963 to 1969. He was a crew chief on a crash check in the Air Force. And if we have any other veterans in the audience, please stand to be recognized at this time. Ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of a grateful community, thank you for your service and sacrifice. Please join me in recognizing our special guests with a warm round of applause. Thank you. You now may be seated. Representing family of Pueblo County High graduates killed in the Vietnam War are Mr. John Solano and members of his family, the family of Mr. Dan Hanratty, and the family of Private First Class Mr. Thomas Michael Hanratty. Seated with our guest are County High School students' body officers, President Ms. Caprice Lee Sack, Vice President Ms. Hope Musso, and Secretary Ms. Reagan Avila. Please give our student body officers a round of applause. At this time, the battalion will prepare for honors to the nation. Please rise. At this time, our battalion commander will bring the battalion to attention and present arms for the national anthem. The Pueblo County High School Voices, under the direction of Mr. Brooke Mead, will now sing the Star Spangled Banner. Please stand for our national anthem.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave?
Thank you. You may now be seated. At this time, our battalion commander will now return to order arms and parade rest. Armistice Day, which was observed annually at the 11th hour of the 11th day of the 11th month, was originally recognized for the day our armistice agreement between the Germans and the Western Allies went into effect to mark the end of World War I. After World War II, Congress declared that Americans should recognize all veterans, and particularly those who don't return home from foreign battlefields, on November 11th, the day we now call Veterans Day. Today, we pay tribute to all men and women of the armed forces, past and present, and reflect on how their sacrifices have helped to preserve democracy and keep our nation safe and strong. In the history of our country, over 1 million men and women have lost their lives in the preservation of freedom and our American way of life. Previous combat operations in the war in Afghanistan and homeland defense operations here in the United States have been constant reminders to us that our American way of life does not come without a sacrifice. While we enjoy freedom every day in the United States, members of the armed forces are frequently killed or wounded in combat around the world. Pueblo County High School has contributed its share to the growing numbers of veterans. Many of our former students, as well as relatives, both men and women, have faithfully served their country and are continuing to serve as leaders in their communities. Others are still on active duty and in the reserve components, serving both at home, afloat, and abroad. There are many who serve to protect our freedom in lonely and dangerous places. 6 former Pueblo County High School students have made the supreme sacrifice by giving their lives in service to their country during the war in Vietnam. These deceased veterans are represented by the 6 set of camouflage helmets and boots arrayed in front and centered on the color guard. Through our research, we have found 296 veterans from World War I, World War II, the Korean War, and about 63 veterans from the Vietnam War from Pueblo County. These 6 individuals are who we remember today. Army Specialist 4, Ruben Aragon, class of 1965. Private First Class Mike Hanratty, class of 1963. Private First Class David Heller, class of 1966. Corporal Danny Roybal, class of 1965. Staff Sergeant Sam Solano, class of 1965, and Army Specialist 4, Pete Valdez, class of 1967. Before you is a table named the Missing in Action Table or the Prisoner of War Table. The Missing Man Table is a small table set for one, symbolizing the isolation of the absent service member. The table is round to represent the everlasting concern the survivors have for the missing. A white tablecloth symbolizes the pure intentions of the service members who responded to the country's call to arms. A single rose in the vase symbolizes blood that service members have shed and sacrificed to ensure the freedom of the United States of America. This rose also represents the family and friends who keep the faith while awaiting the return of the missing service members. The red ribbon represents a love of country that inspired service members to serve. A slice of lemon on the bread plate that represents the bitter fate of the missing. Salt sprinkled on the bread plate that symbolizes the tears shed by waiting families. An inverted glass to represent the fact that the missing and fallen cannot partake in the evening's toast. A Bible represents the spiritual strength and faith to sustain the lost. A lit candle symbolizes a light of hope that lives in our hearts to illuminate the missing ways home. And an empty chair to represent the absence of the missing and fallen. The last roll call is the final tribute paid by soldiers to their fallen comrades. Its origin in the accountability roll call conducted by the unit started following combat. Although sometimes painful to listen through, the last roll call is called with the conviction held by soldiers that all unit members will be accounted for, and none will ever be forgotten. Sergeant Major Lewis will now conduct the last roll call.
All right, it's been a rough year for a lot of us. I usually do one roll call for a family, but today I have three that have passed away before us, and I will do a roll call for those three families. Okay. Major Andrew Smith. SRO Deputy Michael Delaro. Ms. Florence Downs. Mr. Mike Knox. Jason Crocker. Jason Crocker. Jason Crocker. Corporal Sam Stevens. Corporal Sam Stevens. Corporal Sam Stevens.
Sergeant Major, he has gone home.
Joseph Samuel Fodor. Joseph Samuel Fodor. Joseph Samuel Fodor.
The tradition of a ceremonial firing party to honor deceased members of a nation's army is attributed to soldiers of old, who would demonstrate their peaceful intentions to visiting foreign dignitaries by rendering their firearms ineffective. In the United States, the custom of a ceremonial firing squad, or the 21-gun salute, followed by the playing of the bugle call, taps, became the official custom of the U.S. Armed Forces during the Civil War. This custom was adopted to honor the deceased on behalf of a grateful nation at military funerals. In a moment, the ceremonial firing party will fire 3 volleys of 7 shots, or 21 in all. This will be followed immediately by the playing of taps. Please be respectful of this tribute to our veterans by remaining silent. Please rise and remain standing until the playing of taps is completed. The battalion commander will now bring the corps to attention and present arms. Please remain standing and join me in a moment of silence in our honor of veterans in our nation. I apologize, we need to play taps. At this time, our battalion commander will bring the battalion to order arms and parade rest.
Battalion! Staff! Color guard!
Up company! Bravo company!
Bring your units to order arms and parade rest. Order arms, parade rest. Color guard. Order, color. Order, color. Parade rest.
Up company! Order! Arms! Parade! Rest! Bravo company! Order! Arms! Parade! Rest!
At this time, please remain standing and join me in a moment of silence in honor for our veterans and our nation. Thank you. You may be seated. At this time, our JROTC flag detail will be conducting a flag folding ceremony. In the U.S. Armed Forces, at the ceremony of retreat, the flag is lowered, folded into a triangle fold, and kept under watch throughout the night as a tribute to our nation's fallen. The next morning, it is brought out, and at the ceremony of reveal, run aloft in a symbol of our belief in the resurrection of the body. The first fold of our flag is a symbol of life. The second fold signifies our belief in eternal life. The third fold is made in honor and tribute of the veteran departing our ranks and who gave a portion of his or her life for the defense of our country and to attain peace. The fourth fold exemplifies our weaker nature as citizens trusting in God. It is to Him we turn for His divine guidance. The fifth fold is an acknowledgement to our country, for in the words of Stephen Decatur, our country in dealing with our countries, may she always be right, but it is still our country, right or wrong. The sixth fold is for where our hearts lie. It is with our heart that we pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. The seventh fold is a tribute to our armed forces, for it is through the armed forces that we protect our country and our flag against all enemies. The eighth fold is a tribute to the one who entered into the valley of the shadow of death, that we might see the light of day, and to honor our mother for whom it flies on Mother's Day. The ninth fold is an honor to womanhood, for it has been through their faith, love, loyalty, and devotion that the character of men and women who have made this country great have been molded. The 10th fold is a tribute to Father, for he too has given his sons and daughters for the defense of our country since he or she was first born. The 11th fold, in the eyes of Hebrew citizens, represents the lower portion of the seal of King David and King Solomon, and glorifies in their eyes the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. The 12th fold, in the eyes of a Christian citizen, represents an emblem of eternity and glorifies in their eyes God, the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. The last fold. When the flag is completely folded, the stars are uppermost, reminding us of our national motto, "In God We Trust." This week, please remember and acknowledge those who still serve. Let us pay tribute to their achievements and appreciate the contributions and sacrifices made by our nation's veterans in their resolve to keep America strong and free. And if you have a relative or close friend who is a veteran, don't forget to thank them for their service to America. We now present to you our guest speaker for Pueblo County High School, our senior Army instructor, Major Retired Andrew Smith.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, honored guests, and members of the public community. Today we gather to observe Veterans Day, a day to honor the bravery, sacrifice, and unwavering commitment of our veterans. Those brave individuals who have selflessly served our country in the United States Armed Forces. We honor all branches of the military, Army, Navy, Air Force, Space Force, Marine Corps, and Coast Guard. Each has its own unique history and role, but together they form the backbone of our national defense. They have fought in wars, conflicts, both abroad and at home, standing ready to protect our nation and its ideals. Veterans Day is a sacred occasion, a time for us to reflect on the profound contributions made by those who have worn the uniform of our armed forces. To all our veterans here today, thank you. Your dedication has protected our freedoms and safeguarded our way of life. You have faced challenges that most can only imagine, and the bravery in the face of adversity is an inspiration to us all. You are not just heroes in uniform, you are our friends, family, and neighbors. Your stories of service remind us of the cost of freedom and the resilience required to uphold it. Today, we celebrate you, not only for your service, but for the values you embody: honor, duty, and selflessness. I want to extend a heartfelt thank you to the community for your continued support to our veterans. Your commitment to recognizing the sacrifices and contributions makes a real difference. Whether through participation in events, volunteering, or simply offering a kind word, your support means the world to those who have served. We also take the opportunity to shine a light on our local junior ROTC program. This program plays a vital role in our community by instilling leadership, discipline, and a sense of service among our youth. The young men and women in junior ROTC are not just learning military values, they are developing skills that will serve them throughout their lives. They embody the spirit of service, and we are grateful for their dedication and commitment to becoming responsible citizens and supporting our veterans. As we honor our veterans, we must remember those who have made the ultimate sacrifice, like Sergeant Sam Solano. His bravery and commitment to his country remind us of the profound cost of freedom. Today, we honor his memory along with all others who gave their lives defending this great nation. As we remember the fallen, let us also honor those who have returned home. Some carry invisible wounds. It is our responsibility as a community to support them, ensuring they receive the care and respect they deserve. We must work together to provide resources and opportunities for our veterans, helping them transition back to civilian life and thrive in our communities. Let us also recognize the families of our service members whose support and resilience play a crucial role in the success of our armed forces. Their sacrifices often extend beyond the individual, impacting parents, siblings, spouses, and children. We are deeply grateful for your strength and dedication. To our veterans here today, we thank you. Your service has protected our freedoms and safeguarded our way of life. You have answered the call to serve in times of conflict and peace, often facing unimaginable challenges. Each of you carries a unique story filled with courage, resilience, and today we celebrate that spirit. In closing, let us commit to honoring our veterans, not just today, but every day. May we live in a way that fosters peace, understanding, and gratitude. Together as a community, we can ensure that the legacies of heroes like the ones honored here before you continue to inspire generations to come. Thank you for being here today, and thank you to all our veterans.
Thank you, sir. The Army Junior ROTC Department and the Hornet Battalion would also like to extend a very special thank you to Mr. Brooke Mead and the Pueblo County High School Voices, Mrs. Michelle Provenzano from the Media Center, Trumpeter Kennedy Winchester from the County Band, and our school custodial staff, and Mr. Jared Pacheco, as well as the entire Sting TV crew for broadcasting this live. Sorry. I apologize. Give me just one moment, please. At this time, our battalion commander will now bring our entire battalion to attention. At this time, our Command Sergeant Major will now lead the creed. I am an Army Junior ROTC cadet. I will always conduct myself to bring credit to my family, country, school, and the Corps of Cadets. I am loyal and patriotic. I am the future of the United States of America. I do not lie, cheat, or steal and will always be accountable for my actions and deeds. I will always practice good citizenship and patriotism. I will work hard to improve my mind and strengthen my body. I will seek the mantle of leadership and stand prepared to uphold the Constitution and the American way of life. May God grant me the strength of... Hoorah! Thank you for your attendance, and please stand by for instructions from Mr. Dilka.
Good morning. I'll try to keep my comments brief this morning. First of all, I want to make sure that everyone knows this assembly is a highlight. It's a long-standing tradition at Pueblo County High School. It's certainly one of the highlights of every year. How about a round of applause for our JROTC department? And speaking directly to our student body, one of our mottos around here is that we're all Hornets. Certainly when you think about Hornets, Hornets are tough, Hornets are resilient, Hornets have pride, Hornets have respect, and that's certainly on full display today. So student body, give yourselves a round of applause. Last, thank you very much to our veterans and our community members that support us and have given so much to the freedom of our great country. We appreciate your support. Round of applause. And one last time to give proper credit where proper credit is due, can I have Mr. Joseph Nathaniel Nichols Sr. stand up? You did hear that right, 104 years old. Thank you very much for being with us here today. Guests, if you'll give our student body just a few minutes to exit from the gym. Seniors, you're dismissed. Let's clap out our seniors.